Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here with us. Let's call to order our Jeffco Board of County Commissioners meeting for August 5th, 2025. I'm Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper here with Commissioners Zenzinger and Kerr. Our clerk this morning is Lane Blumquist, and our host, helping folks who are joining us virtually, is Katie La Liberté, who will handle requests for public comment and public testimony sign up in the chat for those of you who are joining us this morning virtually. There are several ways to join our hybrid meeting, all of which are listed on our website at jeffco.us. You are always welcome to reach out to the board on the county's website at jeffco.us or by email at commish@jeffco.us. We would also like to ask if you would please, I'm going to do it myself, if you please silence your phone before we begin our hearing today. Thank you so much. Next, we invite you to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next on our agenda is public comment, and the board will take up to 15 minutes at the beginning of our meeting for public comment and additional public comment at the end of the meeting on items that are not listed on the agenda. We'll begin with those who signed up for public comment, followed by those who did not have an opportunity. So I'll make sure to check to see that everyone has had a chance to speak to the board should you like to do so. Now, if you're joining us virtually, please log into our meeting using a computer. Please send a note in the chat to our host with your full name, address, and the topic. And when it's your turn to speak, Ms. La Liberté will give you permission to unmute yourself, and the chat function is only seen by the host, and no comments are retained in the record. We have a number of community members who have signed up to speak during public comment. I'm just going to take a moment to make sure that the signups are for issues that are not on our current agenda, and it looks like we have a fairly long list. I think what I'd like to do, commissioners, if you're all right with this, is go ahead and suspend our 15-minute limit for the beginning of public comment. We appreciate that you took the time to be here, to speak to the board, to share any concerns that you have, and we'll try to work through as many public comments as we can at the top of our meeting. We do have a land use hearing, so I want to be, or a rezoning issue, so I want to make sure that we're also respectful of the team that is here to present to the board and any members of the community who are also here to speak on that topic. Other than that, we have a fairly tight agenda. So if we don't get to everyone during the first portion of public comment, we'll make sure that we hear from you during our second round of public comment after our after our land case that we're dealing with today. Thank you so much. All right, we'll start with those of you who have signed up for public comment. And it looks like the majority of these comments are on the Glow Park, which is an issue that is coming up during the board's briefing, which is on the 5th floor after we have our public hearing this morning. So I'm going to read off a number of names, and I'd like to ask you to come forward so we can move efficiently through public comment. First, we have Tammy Waller, Adrian Waller, if you'd come forward. We also have Bob Brownlee. And I believe the next name is Doro or Donna. And you'll correct me on that, I know, when you come forward. And Mike Rosenthal. If I could ask all of you to come forward, and we'll go in the order we call you. So we'll begin first with Tammy Waller. And as you approach the mic, if you would please be sure to tell us your name, spell your last name, share your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Tammy Waller. Last name is Waller. Address is 16380 Mount Vernon Road, Golden 80401. All right, I'm Tammy Waller, the district manager for Pleasant View Metropolitan District and a 30-year resident of Pleasant View. We lease the land that Pleasant View Community Park sits on from Jeffco Open Space. I oppose this GLOW project for many reasons, but I'll give you 4 today. Changing the project to public housing from the GLOW Park is a breach of trust, not only to the district, but also to the community of Pleasant View. We were informed that housing would be located at the current site of the National Guard. This housing was intended for scientists visiting and working at the think tanks located near the prison. Now we're being told that the acreage will be high-rise, high-density apartments for the lost middle. The road as a required second access proposed in the closed Zoom meeting is unacceptable. I see that it has been conveniently left out in the paperwork that was put on for public. Initially, the road was to be brought in from north at the Denver West area, but now the road will be coming off Golden Road, down Kilmer Street, over a one-lane historic bridge, along our historic building, running through the middle of the park, allowing potentially 700 to 1,000 cars to drive through a naturally preserved park. Ms. Cordova stated in the meeting that this option was the only option that she would accept. The state wants to project this fast track this project, eliminating proper road studies and public input. Ms. Cordova believes that there is little to no pushback. This thought is not only tone deaf, but highly offensive. This is unacceptable and a slap in the face to the small community that continues to be silenced and taken advantage of by the state wanting to gentrify this area. Several cities are suing the state and governor's office for this exact kind of project. We are being taken advantage of because we are not a city and do not have the means to fight back. Our small district will be highly impacted financially by this new project. We will not be receiving the tax monies from the rental units, but we will be expected to provide fire service and amenities to the park. Who will be paying for the new bridge? Remember, it's a historic one-lane road. Who will be paying for the sewer and the water updates? Who will cover the cost of the multi-use fields once they are dug up for the updated infrastructure? The district will lose all monies collected by rentals from our historic building and the fields. We rely on those rentals to cover some of the cost of running that park. In closing, the increased housing brings a lot of people to the area with little income coming to the Parks Department of Pleasant View. Our parks are already experiencing high impact, and having one staff member for park maintenance is proving increasingly difficult. This project will potentially bring 700 to 1,000 people into one little park, and that will have a significant impact, not only on the district financially.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Next, we have, I'm also going to ask, we ask that you not applaud, so we can move through every single public comment in an efficient manner. If you want to express yourself, please feel free to do so like this or however you might want to. But let's make sure we can move through in an efficient way and hear your public comment, which is important this morning. Next, we have Adrian Waller, followed by Bob Brownlee and Dorothy, I believe it is, and then Mike Rosenthal. Please go ahead, Mr. Waller.
Yep, my name is Adrian Waller, and I'm the board president for Pleasant View Metropolitan District, and I thank you for your time. My wife works there as the district manager, and she just read all those things quite eloquently, so she might have said everything better than I can even say it. I've been on meetings with Commissioner Kerr and Lou for probably 3 years now regarding the Glow Park, and the trade-off was that we were going to get some improvement to the park for the nine acres that were traded to open space. But the questions now become is that it's not going to be more office type space that's used between the hours of 8 to 5 o'clock, which would be typical work days for professionals doing research. Instead, it's going to be residential properties, which then it's 24 hours a day, all year long. People are there, and which eliminates many of the things that were discussed for the 3 years that we had meetings regarding a research facility. Even though the building sizes might be similar, the usage is quite different. And then the road is also a very big issue, which Tammy mentioned, in the fact that all those cars then can pass right through the middle of the park when kids are there, and everything from baseball to lacrosse to soccer. And our parking lot is already quite full. The cars then for a residential property would not be gone in the evening hours when there's normal park usage for those types of activities. Causes a great dilemma in that sense. The things that we are also concerned about, which are not necessarily related to the park, is just the corridor of South Golden Road. It's incredibly packed with traffic all the time. And the expansion of the School of Mines, the Coors worker traffic, even all the building that's happening in Pleasant View. South Golden Road in our little section has never been improved as it was designed to do, like I think it was 10 or 15 years ago with the Plains, forgetting the name of the Plains plan or something like that, where there were supposed to be sidewalks put in, the roundabouts got put in, but nothing else. And so if you live in that community, it is quite difficult just to get around. We live on Mount Vernon, and that's a collector street, which also is a very hazardous road right now. I had a study done by the Road and Bridge 3 years ago just to put in some speed bumps. And when they did the traffic study, 1,000 cars go down our Mount Vernon Road per day. And it said, I can't remember exactly the number, it was more than 50% are 50 miles an hour and faster on a 30-mile-an-hour road. And so our concern is that the community is just getting so packed that if you add another high-density housing that has, say, 360 units, where is all that traffic going to go? And that's going to go down the residential collector streets because people find the route of least resistance, which could also be then through that secondary park road. Other concerns are the tax money. So right now, Pleasant View only survives off of the residential property taxes, and that's for our fire department.
Thank you. We are out of time.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your comments, and thank you for being here. Next, we have Bob Bromley or Brownlee. Oh, okay. So I'll go ahead and put a check next to your name. And is it Dorothy? Is Dorothy with us? It looks like Dorothy Roberts. Okay, I'll go ahead and put a check next to your name. Next, we have Mike Rosenthal. And after Mr. Rosenthal, we have Daniel Mangieri. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name, Sam Clement, and Brian Lynch. So if I could ask you to please come forward if you'll be speaking. Mr. Rosenthal, please go ahead and share your address with us, and you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name's Mike Rosenthal. I live at 15760 West 14th Avenue. This project is literally in my backyard. Okay. Prior to the building of Research Road, your own county traffic department said Old Golden Road, South Golden Road, whatever you want to call it, is at capacity. Now you want to add how many hundred more apartments coming off that road? We're already getting 300 apartments down by the King Soopers. Actually closer to 400, but who knows how many they'll actually build. They're building 20 units right across the street from me. They're tearing it down a single family home 2 houses down so they can build 2 duplexes on that property. We've had enough of the high density housing in our district. We can't support it anymore. We just don't have the traffic. We don't have the utilities. They've just put new water mains in to support some of this, but it's not going to support everything they want to do. We just don't have what it takes to support all this development they want to do. I urge you to deny this request. This is not a good thing for our district or our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. Next, we have Daniel. If you please come forward, and if you would pronounce your last name and spell it for me as well as.
Mangieri, and it's Mangieri. I live at 1427 Joyce Street, and a lot of people have already touched on all the things that are concerning. My big thing is like the amount of people that are in the area. I live right adjacent to the park, and we use the park almost every single day. So I have a nonprofit cleanup group that goes in there and cleans up Lena Gulch, and we've been doing it for 6 years. We've pulled over 150 contractor bags out of that wetland, so it's a pretty personal thing for me. I know plenty of my neighbors and people in the surrounding area use that area to get out into nature and use the walkways, and there's now trails that go along that gulch, and people are constantly helping clean up, and there's trash bags back there, and it's kind of built this little community that, you know, I just know my neighbors from passing of going on walks, and I feel like that's a pretty special thing to be taken away and put up with, you know, apartments. We can find apartments everywhere. We don't have these open spaces for us to go bring, you know, our children, our dogs, and yeah, just a very nice place to unwind after work. I mean, would you rather go hang out in a nice big field and see animals running through the woods or have giant apartment complexes? And our trail systems are already very highly trafficked. I worry about that too because that's something that's very special to me. I've been there for 11 years, and as time has been going on, there's just more and more people in those areas, which invites more trash, and just more foot traffic is always damaging to the trails, and people don't stay off them when it's raining. And a lot of people have touched on all the big things that affect us, like driving safety. Golden's already, sometimes it takes me 3 to 4 minutes just to get out of my neighborhood because there's so much traffic on South Golden. And as the previous person said, the apartment buildings that are going up on South Golden are just going to like blow that neighborhood up. And I think one thing that people don't understand is when you've been living there for a long time, you notice these changes like every day that you drive. And yeah, I think pushing through something like that to have apartments for people is something that maybe could be taken outside of our very limited open space in that area. So that would be my biggest thing to hope you guys think about for the nature and the people that use that area and recreate in that whole parking lot. Plus all the kids and all the sports activities. I mean, the park is always, I can hear them from my house. Like, it's always full of kids laughing and screaming, playing soccer. So I would love if you guys took that into consideration.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your comments. Next, we have Sam Clement.
Good morning, everyone. I'm
Good morning.
actually roommates with Dan Mangieri, Sam Clement, Clement. We live at 1427 Joyce Street, which is just off of Isabella by the Stork Quest and directly to the east of Camp George West. So we're directly south of where this planned project would go. It is very important to us that this doesn't get changed because it is a natural wetland. And like Dan says, we've picked up hundreds of trash bags every spring when the water level rises from the snow melt. We go back there and clean it up. And we think that an apartment complex with 700 parking spots at the base of South Table, water is only going to go one way and it's going to go directly to that stream. So now we're going to get more oil and car fluids and everything to contaminate the rivers there. We see owls, we see foxes, we see coyotes, we see rare birds. You maybe even saw a mountain lion one time, kind of cool, but we don't have those spaces anywhere else. And this also needs to be an accessible space like South Table and North Table, great places for people to get out. But for those that aren't as accessible to those areas of climbing up large inclinations, they need an area that can go park, walk around in a nice flat area that's safe, level. And I think this is going to highly damage that. It's nice to see an area so close by where people can recreate and have fun. And I think just an apartment complex that's fast tracked with, lying to what the whole trade was about, I think greatly affects our trust with how decisions are made and things moving forward to how affordability of housing and the traffic of South Golden is just going to affect everything without certain parameters being taken to address those issues. So I think everything else everyone has said has been pretty good, and that is my input. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mr. Clement. Next, we have Brian Lynch, followed by Keith Ives and Greg Stevenson. I'm so sorry. Did I pronounce your name correct?
Yes, you did. You're
Okay,
one of the few people
correctly?
that do pronounce it correctly right off the
Thank
bat, so
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Brian Lynch. I live at 16735 West 15th Avenue. I've been living there for 26 years. I'm a homeowner and I vote. I want to say that this, I don't know what exactly you would call it, but I call it a bait and switch. It was originally the Glow Park, which was, and I wasn't thrilled about it, but at least it was sort of in keeping with the master plan, which I believe promoted R&D in that area. And it provided some global benefit to not only to our community, but to everyone in terms of encouraging researching renewable energy. So this is not what we were sold because, and I don't even know how this even happened because the Glow Park was, from my understanding, was a trade with Jeffco Open Space and the state. And then I don't know who ended up with this parcel of property, but and I hope to find that out. But anyway, as I said, it's definitely a bait and switch. It is not what we were led to believe what this property was for, and is not what what my neighbors and I want to see on this property. We'd love to see the park stay the way it is. The other gentleman spoke about how I was just over there this morning. People were jogging, people were walking their dogs. It's a very accessible, natural, open space. And then also the ball fields are used by kids and sports leagues and stuff like that. It's a really nice thing in the neighborhood. And that's one of the reasons why people like to live in the neighborhood. But speaking to that, there are 353 new units going up on South Golden Road in the 16,000 block, as well as 29,000 square feet of commercial space. So the vacancy rate here in Jefferson County ranges anywhere from 5.2% to 7.1%, depending on who you ask. And also depending on who you ask, the optimal vacancy rate is 4 to 5%. So we're already over the optimal rate of vacancy for our rental properties. So if we build more, we're going to be way over the optimal vacancy rate. And so that means there's a surplus of property that there aren't enough people to rent. So we're going to have too much supply and not enough demand at that point. And so with the stuff that's going on South Golden Road, this would only increase that, as well as there's two places under construction, one on the east side and one on the west side of the park. That's multifamily construction. And so I don't see the benefit to our community or to the county for this particular project. I think it's going to be a net tax receiver, a net tax drain on the county, as the other people have said, as far as using our services and not really contributing to the tax base or really to any beneficial purpose. So I'd appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Keith Ives.
Morning, I'm Keith Ives, IVES. I live at 1035 Orchard Street in Pleasant View. And, my comments today, in addition to the ones that have already been said by the community, first and foremost is the community was really meaningfully engaged in the development of the Glow Park plan. And I think if all of us could choose for everything to be held in time, none of us would want any development, but that's not realistic. And I think that the community came around the idea of the original plan and compromised on that and supported the vision and felt heard. This change, without sincere messaging to the community, without engagement of the community, really violates, for me, the trust that I felt from the county and the state in that original process. And for me, takes us back a few steps in that quality of engagement. Two, I do think the plan is substantively different. And the Glow Park plan was presented with these compromises on how it benefited the state, the county, and our community, and the direct benefits that we would get for trading and yielding this public land, this public space. I think that those benefits have been lost in what I've seen in the new plan. And my ask, first of all, is anything that we're doing with public land, that we ensure that the loss of that space is replaced with at least equal public benefit. And that's not just lights on a soccer field. Sincere public benefit that's hearing these concerns. Two, as a part of this process and this potential development, but also just in the larger context of Pleasant View, I ask that you really safeguard and protect the interests of Pleasant View. We don't have the same city government that a lot of the other communities in Jefferson County has. And so we really rely on you to ensure that our community is being smartly developed and our interests are being protected. And I ask for you to advocate and really safeguard those. And as part of that, thinking about things like South Golden Road, we have, everyone's mentioned the 300 to 400 units going in near King Soopers, the space in between Mount Vernon and South Golden Road being developed behind Rockcrest. This would be another, major development. While South Golden Road is still not a fully developed road, has been promised for years by the county. My friends, when I tell them, I don't actually live in Golden, it's Pleasant View, and they're like, oh, where does that where's Pleasant View? I said, well, if you're leaving Golden, it's where the sidewalks end. And when I leave for work in the mornings, I watch people post holing in the snow down South Golden Road, trying to get to a bus stop. We don't have the accessibility in our neighborhood. I'm not trying to stop development. I don't believe we can do that. I want to do it smartly. I want to do it inclusively. And we need the infrastructure first and the additional housing and the additional development second. And so sidewalks on South Golden Road, protected bike lanes, sidewalks on Mount Vernon, bring our infrastructure up to meet the needs of the existing community before we start trying to add more folks to our area.
Fine.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments. Next, we have Greg Stevenson, who will then be followed by Nancy Pate. Nancy, are you with us this morning? If you're here, you'll be after Mr. Stevenson, and then Jeff Sackley.
Greg Stevenson, Stevinson, address 1546 Cole Boulevard, Golden, 80401. Just a few comments. We've been a part of Pleasant View for over 60 years now, and as you can see, it's been a very respectful community that expressed their concerns. There's not torches burning and things like this. They've always been that way, and there's a concern and I think we've all understand that. We hear that. The reason I came is I wanted to hear what all the concerns were, but more important, this is a unique situation I've never come across before in the situation that you've been put into, is how I respectfully say it, versus the state, with the state and the like. It's not a rezoning. You're getting public comment. It sounds like we're very early in this process. And I think what we all need to understand is that I don't see anything where it's us versus you. And it's more of, we've got to find out what is the world we're living in right now. I was part of Glow Park when it first started, and they are right, it's changed. They always wanted to do some residential, but it was going to be more towards South Golden Road and more towards the west. I've actually been on, we're the original home of NREL back when it started back in the Carter era. So, I mean, we're very familiar with the mechanics of what's happening here. My comment, and perhaps a question at some point, is if you could explain how we're kind of in this situation, or where can we find out how we all got into this situation, that would be terrific. And I appreciate your time.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stevenson. And next we have Nancy Pate. Welcome.
Nancy Pate. I live at 1325 Moss Street. My front yard would be apartments. Basically, I look directly onto this space that we're talking about changing. And we appreciated that the developers doing the Glow Park were considering updating the park and including the park and some green space along with their build design. But I think this kind of urgent change to an apartment complex is definitely missing the point of what that space is for. I walk my dog over there almost every single day. I use that whole space on a regular basis. I see coyotes and foxes, and that whole habitat would be damaged. The floodplain that is already being kind of cemented over with the condo complex going in at 14th Avenue is going to increase floodwaters into that whole 9 acres that will now be cemented over and increase the marshlands of the remaining part of the green space. In one of the documents, it mentioned this space was underutilized, but our community utilizes this green space every day, and the green space improves our property values, and we really appreciate having it there and having it available to use every day without a lot of congestion of cars back and forth. I think the suggestion that all of the people living in apartments are going to use that Kilmore Drive to get over, I think it's going to be a whole lot of street parking on Research Road, because that's easier to get to from South Golden that is already kind of over trafficked with all the new apartments. I really appreciate the other comments about the vacancy rate and do we actually need apartments there because of the proposed Rockrest development and the development at King Soopers and those other new apartments next to the 7-Eleven. So it's really adding apartments that we maybe don't need or can't handle the traffic for. And I think we're just kind of seeing our community change in a way where we were kind of ready for the Glow Park. And then now it's definitely a bait and switch of now we're going to throw something else at you that completely doesn't fit in your single family and duplex residence kind of neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bate, for your comments. We've got more who have signed up here in person. I see that we also have 1, 2, 3, 4 who are also joining us online. Is that correct, to speak to this issue as well?
Correct. There are actually 5.
5. Okay, perfect. Well, let's continue with those of you who are here in person, and thanks so much for your patience. To those of you who are joining us this morning online, we'll come to you shortly. Next, we have Jeff Sackley, Margaret Wood, Laura Carden, and Diana Olson. If you would all please come forward, please feel free to grab a seat right up front. And Mr. Sackley, if you would share your address, you have 3 minutes.
Jeffrey Sackley, 15835 West 14th Place, Golden, 80401. This is a little bit different way of looking at things. Instead of doing the Globe Park housing concept, maybe we should be, if we want to do something positive, we've got the prison that's there and it's empty, it's not being used. You could very well, have you heard of Step Denver, which used to be called Step 13? It's a premier anti-drug, anti-alcohol way of getting people back into the society. You could do something like that with that instead of being, thinking about building in Glow Park. There's lots of buildings going on right now. Matt Birdie is building on the east side of the soccer field. He also has, there's like 6 duplexes there. He's also building on the off of Nile Street in 14th Place. There's another house that he's put up. You've got some 230 apartment complex that's going up out by Wrigley's on West 40. You've got all those other places that are going up along Golden Road. So we're overbuilding. I swear to God that if you guys, years ago, Nike wanted to build on top of South Table Mountain, and of course that got rejected. But today, I think you guys would go ahead and approve it because the almighty buck is driving things. Unfortunately, with all these extra buildings being built and more people coming in, slowly but surely we're turning Colorado into California. I would suggest that we don't, build Glow Park because it was promised as an open space. I ride my bicycle or walk in that area at least once a day. I'm retired now. Again, if you want to do something positive, do something with the prison. Make it into either Step Denver, make it an unwed mother's housing, a battered wives housing, anything that's more positive than adding a 5 or 8 story building in the Glow Park area. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Margaret Wood.
Good morning. My name is Margaret Wood, W-O-O-D. I live at 16480 West 12th Drive. I have been a resident of Pleasant View for more than 20 years. I'm a transplant from Virginia. I've been reading over the notes from the Pleasant View meetings, and I do not believe that this proposed project to replace the Glow Park would be a positive impact on the community. South Golden Road from Indiana all the way into Golden is the infrastructure is not supporting the proposed development. We have buildings being constructed on each side of South Golden Road that is not allowing the widening of South Golden Road to accommodate this additional traffic. In addition to South Golden Road, the points of access into Golden is 6th Avenue, going through 19th, and also 58th. With the building that's going on now on South Golden Road, increasing the traffic, the Course Tech plant development, additional housing, hotel, retail. On 19th, School of Mines, where are we going to allow the development for infrastructure to support this great growth? Also, we have a somewhat partial volunteer fire department that is not able to support the community of Pleasant View without the help of West Metro and Golden Fire Department. The growth, we do not have an elementary school any longer. We do not have the middle school and the high school are over capacity. And I'd like to know how the county plans on supporting this growth when we have all these other issues that would come into play. So I strongly oppose this project, and I'd like to hope and think that the county will take these situations under consideration when they make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Next, we have Laura Cardin. Nice to see you.
I'm Laura Cardon, Cardon. I live at 15864 West 11th Avenue, and I'm the Vice President of the Board of Directors for the Pleasant View Metropolitan District. Camp George West, where the Glow Park project is located, is a vital part of Pleasant View. Like others have mentioned, it's one of the only two natural spaces in our community that are flat and easily accessible. While neighbors had started to come to terms with the Glow Park development, as you've already heard, this sudden change in the project concept without talking to the community has left many neighbors feeling betrayed by their local governments. They realize that this isn't a choice between open space and apartments. They simply understand the difference between a research lab where people work and then go home versus a massive development where people live. Myself and Board President Adrian Waller, who you also heard from earlier, knocked on nearly 100 doors over the weekend, and neighbors were unanimously against the change in the project that, like others have mentioned, would really destroy Camp George as we know it. Our community survey that we did received an additional 89 responses over the weekend. 94% were against the new project concept and 98% were against its aggressive timeline. It's critical to protect one of the last natural spaces in Pleasant View as development inevitably progresses around the park. Camp George West is one of our only opportunities for close to home nature. Golden has Clear Creek, Lakewood has Bear Creek Lake Park. Camp George West is what Pleasant View has. As part of the Together Jeffco strategic plan, the county will begin planning the much needed infrastructure along South Golden Road, as well as more high density housing as part of the state legislature to develop transit oriented corridors. This is critical work that will holistically improve walkability, bike lanes, transit, and address the traffic congestions that many have mentioned as well. The state's proposal to rapidly develop one standalone apartment in a park with no utilities away from South Golden Road will derail this cohesive effort that is much needed, as my neighbors have said. There's also been no transparency with the community, and the sudden change of plans has degraded public trust in local government, which is the opposite of what we should be doing as elected officials. I've taken the time to ask people of Pleasant View what matters to them, and I ask that you all do the same and remember our comments as you listen to the state's presentation later today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Diana Olson, followed by Linda Pappas. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you so much. Linda Pappas. Okay, thank you both very much. And I apologize. Is it Sam Malaika? Malaika. Thank you. And just so folks in the audience know, Sam will be followed by Thomas Hofler, Tamara McKee, and then we will go to Thomas LaRock, I believe it is. And then we'll go to folks who are joining us online. Please go ahead with your address and welcome.
My name is Sam Malaika, last name Meleika. I live on 1440 Kendrick Street, Pleasant View. As most of my colleagues and my community members here have said, excuse me. Sure, sorry. As most of my community members have said, I also oppose this project. I don't feel that it provides any real benefit to Pleasant View residents. As a matter of fact, I think it takes away very valuable green and open spaces, one of the last places that we have as residents of Pleasant View. As some folks had said, there's plenty of wildlife that comes through there. The fields are used, I use them on a regular basis just for going walking or mountain biking. I actually learned to start mountain biking right there, the exact site of Glow Park. It also takes away the baseball field and soccer field, which bring in, I would say, folks from other parts of the community to connect, and I would argue bring in some benefit to the community. The intramural sports, that is. This is not only going to be an eyesore, I feel like, but also it takes away from the charm of Pleasant View and Golden, being that it's going to be 8 stories high. As a matter of fact, the original Glow Park plan, I don't even know why that was necessary, considering that NREL has facilities right outside the gates off of the Denver West entrance, close to the east side, I believe, the east entrance. And yeah, the parking lot there is already full. As someone had said, in South Golden is impossible to navigate on a busy day or at the end of the workday. So I think that not only is this close, convenient, and easily accessible for folks that are disabled or folks that even some equestrian traffic passes through there, I don't think that it provides any real benefit to the citizens. And I hope that y'all will consider that, given that you are our elected officials, and we want to continue to maintain that trust and that open line of communication with y'all. I really enjoyed the idea that someone had mentioned about the Denver 13, the halfway houses that were right there. If it's so necessary to develop or increase housing, which it doesn't sound like it is, given that there's several projects going on in the area, perhaps that's something else that y'all can consider, because not only is this a floodplain, but all the traffic that goes through there and the road that is being planned to cut through there is really going to drastically impact our ability to enjoy that space. So I hope that y'all will side with us and consider that as you move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Malika. Next, we have Thomas Hoffler.
I'm Thomas Huffler. I live at 1355 Moss Street, and our front yard looks right over there towards the Glow Park. The Glow Park be way more acceptable, smaller little residential thing and some businesses during the day and stuff. But this, adding 700,000 people and a different way of looking at it, is a lot more people 24 hours a day playing music, doing fireworks, roaming the neighborhoods looking for cars that have the doors unlocked to steal things and scrape doors and leave candy wrappers in the yards and dog poop on your front yard and all kinds of stuff. That's all I've got to say.
Next, we have Tamara McKee. Welcome.
My name is Tamara McKee, MCKEE. I live at 1355 Moss Street. And this is, I don't know if you've all ever had a chance to drive through our neighborhood. They're very narrow roads, and my neighbors have so eloquently brought to your attention about the infrastructure and the other projects going on. One of my major concerns is if there, God forbid, is a fire, all of us have very few access to get out of that neighborhood. And the only road out there to either Colfax or I-70 is Old Golden Road. And there's no way we'd all make it out. And so adding more apartment complexes and more people in this neighborhood, I think, is a very dangerous thing. Plus, that open space is used all the time. We use it, and it's one of the few left that is accessible for people in wheelchairs. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next, we have Thomas LaRocque. Please come forward. And after Mr. LaRocque, we'll go to those of you who are joining us virtually, and then we'll do one more check to see if anyone would like to provide public comment to the board, if there's any new information that you'd like to share, and we'll go from there. Please go ahead.
I am Thomas LaRocque. I live at 1460 Juniper Street, Golden 80401. been in the neighborhood for 10 years. I do use the open space every single day, and you'll see in most afternoons it's heavily used by frisbee players and soccer players. It's just hard to imagine it getting any more dense, which that would be the threat if this development were to go forward. I do oppose this development, not only for that effect, but for its effect on traffic on South Golden Road. Turning onto South Golden from Isabel Street is difficult and downright dangerous a lot of times of day now, and it threatens to get worse for all the reasons that other people have already noted here. So again, somebody used the term bait and switch. I think you should ask, would this project even have been considered at all, much less as a fast track, if it hadn't been preceded by the Glow Park? I think the answer obviously is no. And this is a very different idea from what we all trusted the county to approve. So again, very much in opposition to this project.
Thank you. We have, it appears, 5 community members who are joining us to share their feedback with the board online. And we will first go to Samantha Reese. Ms. Reese, if you would please share your address, and you have 3 minutes.
865 West 11th Avenue here in Golden. I too am a resident of Pleasant View. I want to echo everything that was said before.
Ms. Reese, I'm sorry. Ms. Reese, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We just caught I think the second half of the address. Would you mind repeating it one more time, and we'll make sure we get it recorded?
Sure. My address is 15865 West 11th Avenue in Golden, 80401.
Perfect. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I want to echo all that said before, and I won't go ahead and use your time to reiterate, although with the exception of iterating that this is state land, therefore all these apartments and all this infrastructure requirements would not bring in any taxes. So the audience they are targeting would have children. That would be children going to the Jeffco Public Schools. That would not be helping to generate the tax basis. And again, everybody's already talked about the roads. Also adding into this is really highlighting that this seems to be a push from Polis and a big ego project for him. It seems disingenuous that Governor Polis went and was iterating just last week his support for renewable energy, and at the same time, he's instructing his staff to repurpose when there's been just a hiccup at a federal level. Further, I appreciate that the briefing papers that you guys will hear in the study session were provided ahead of time, and I took the opportunity to review them. And one of the things that they're noting is that Polis is pushing for this to become housing because NREL has lost federal funding for expansion, which is actually, in fact, not true. If one was to go through and detail the federal budget, which if you have insomnia, I suggest it, you will find that NREL actually still has all the necessary line items for their expansion. So as a secondary thing, it just really seems that if renewable energy research is important to the current administration here in our state, that why are we, with just a minor hiccup in the current federal level, going ahead and repurposing for our latest, greatest ego projects? So I think this is really disingenuous, and it doesn't actually help those who are continuing to support the renewable energy space. So I really, understanding that it is state land and there is limitations to what our county commissioners can do, I do really want to encourage you and all the county staff to highlight again that the impacts to our community and the fact that we don't have the infrastructure to support them. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reese, for your comments. Next, we have Erica Schroeder, who will be followed by Rudy Maltos, Ryan Glombecki, and Tara Slowick. Ms. Schroeder, please go ahead with your comments, and if you first share your address.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. My name is Erica Schrader, Schroeder. I live at 1615 West 14 Place. Bob lives on Avenue, not Place, so we do live in different homes. So thank you for your time today. I just wanted to start by reminding you all that you're here because we elected you. We, the community members, elected you to represent us, the community. I've been a community member for 5 years, which compared to some of the other community members that are speaking is nothing. And I've noticed that just during my time, that some of those that represent us aren't actually hearing us and hearing what the community has to say. We are an unincorporated county that relies on you all, and our understanding is that the guidelines to protect our community, and we have seen a giant influx of developments that have found our sweet little honey home, which doesn't fall under guidelines under Golden or Lakewood building restrictions. We as a community understand development is coming, but we beg you to protect us from the giant companies that are trying to spend the big bucks to share information that only sides with what they want. Please, as this community continues to grow and develop, please start listening to us. I have seen a lot of things as it relates to zoning, that these big companies are just asking you guys to breeze by. They are rules and regulations of our sweet little honey hole because, as many of my community members have shared, we don't have a large representation. You are our representation. So we really hope that through all of this, I don't want to reiterate what all of my community members have said because I support them, but please keep in mind that our town has guidelines and has restrictions. So changing zoning regulations for specific buildings really hurts our communities. While you may not think changing a setback from a 20-foot setback to a 10-foot setback means anything, it means stuff to our community, because where are our community members supposed to watch the Super Cruise? Where are we supposed to walk on the sidewalks that, as someone else reiterated, we don't have any because we don't have the funding. On top of all of this, I know Glow Park, it is a bait and switch, but this is a bigger conversation about all of the infrastructure that's happening on South Golden Road. A lot of people are just bending the knee and understanding and, it won't matter. It won't matter. It does matter to us. So I urge you all to please represent us and represent the community as we are begging, we are pleading to stop all of this. We understand construction is coming and infrastructure is coming, but please listen to the community as they are trying to express how this is going to change our world. You guys don't live in our community, so you don't understand the major impacts that this is going to cause if you just approve this willy-nilly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schrader. Next, we have Rudy Maltos. Rudy, are you with us still this morning?
My name is Rudy Maltos, Maltos. I live at 15090 West 13th Avenue, Golden, Colorado, 80401. And I really just want to speak to the public space aspect that Glow Park presented. Glow Park, and me being a researcher, I went to Colorado School of Mines for several years, a lot longer than I wanted to. And now I'm a researcher at Metro Water Recovery doing research in water, wastewater. And so Glow Park I saw as an awesome connection to a national branch of research that we could kind of plug into. And in addition to the research, amazing research that they were going to be able to do, connecting universities, the public sector, and federal national labs, we are going to have access to that space itself. It was going to be part of Camp George West, where others can still enjoy that area, but no longer is that the case. We're rushing into building this apartment complex that will kind of isolate that area and no longer give us that flexibility. So we're really locking us into that, and there's no need for us to rush into that. We can take time to decide what actually makes the most sense. The second thing I also want to bring up is the flood risk. In 2023, along Lena Gulch, there was severe flooding, and that was without the construction of this apartment complex or even Glow Park. And so a lot of people in my neighborhood along Lena Gulch, their house is already flooded. And so this is something that needs to be addressed, and most likely won't be addressed because this would require significant redirection of water, storage tanks, and most likely contractors won't want to put the money into that. I also want to state that, right now, several dozen, dozen or so people have gotten to speak. That's only a fraction of the people that have the luxury to take an hour outside of their workday, or that just have the flexibility within their day to kind of be here and speak. So you're only hearing a minority of the people that are concerned, people that are living within the mobile homes and things like that, that got to utilize this space. We're taking that away from them and really gentrifying this area, a place that really just doesn't have the bandwidth, as we've heard in previous arguments. And lastly, I just want to say that we really will be changing the dynamics of the space itself, going from, this really beautiful, diverse landscape with a clean park, with brushy grass, rolling hills there, to just a square piece of grass, which no longer is going to be what we used to have. So I really urge everybody to kind of take a step back and not feel the need to rush into this decision. It will only hurt the South Golden community. I hope that we're able to kind of defer this and be able to think long term and be able to kind of handle the new growth, be able to kind of make sure that we are comfortable with that, and then make future decisions based off that. Currently, Glow Park has been deferred, but that won't always be the case. And we should really kind of consider long-term commitments to seeing how we can get that back and not rush to building this apartment complex. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Maltos. Next, we have Ryan Golumbecki.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your address, and you have 3 minutes. Now we can't hear you, unfortunately.
All righty, I'm here now. Sorry
There
about
you
that.
are.
Yep,
Please go
Ryan
ahead.
Golumbecki, GLOMBECKI, 16125 West 13th Place. I'm a 37-year Colorado resident, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm speaking here today because I care deeply about Golden and West Pleasant View. And as we see here today, I know I'm not alone. What makes our community so truly special is its open space. I want to remind everybody that it's not just land, it's a living, breathing part of our community. And now we're at the risk of losing it. The proposal to run a road through our local park is not just short-sighted, it's irreversible. Once open space is gone, it is gone forever. We don't get a second chance to protect it. I'm also appalled by the lack of transparency surrounding this project. There's been little to no meaningful public engagement, and the disregard for the value of public open space is unacceptable. This park is not underutilized, as some have claimed. That narrative is simply false. Hundreds of families use this space regularly. It's a place for kids to play. It's a place for neighbors to connect, and for people all across the Denver metro area to find peace in nature. And I'd like to reiterate that this isn't just a West Pleasant View issue or a South Golden issue. This park serves all of Golden, Denver, and beyond. It's a regional asset, and we should be protecting it, not carving it up. And what's most frustrating is that these decisions are being made by the people who won't feel that impact. They won't lose their neighborhood park. They won't see the traffic or the disruption, but we will. And let's be clear, this plan negatively impacts many, many people while only benefiting a few. And that's not responsible planning, and that is not community-centered development. I strongly urge you to reconsider, do the research, talk to the families who use this space that couldn't be here today, and look at the long-term consequences. Because again, I'd like to reiterate, once this open space is gone, it's gone for good, and the loss will be felt by all of us. So I'd like to finish by saying West Pleasant View deserves better, Golden deserves better, and our community deserves better. So I'd urge you to protect what makes this place so special. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Tara Slowick. Ms. Slowick, can you hear me? Ms. La Liberté, is you, go ahead.
Can you guys, oh wait, here we go. Wait.
Can
We
you
can
guys hear
hear
me
you.
now?
We
Okay, good,
can.
thanks.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, it's Tara Slowick. Hold on. 161. It's like echoing back to me. What is going on?
It may be that you have your speakers on your laptop as you're listening to the hearing. That might be one possibility if but we can hear you. You sound clear on our end. We cannot hear you at this time, just so you know. Ms. Loke, while you're working on the mic, I'm just going to quickly ask those of you who are in the hearing room, is there anyone who would like to provide public comment who did not have an opportunity to sign up this morning? If you have new information to add, anything you want to discuss. Again, this is only for folks who have not yet had an opportunity to address the board this morning. Okay. Ms. Lowick, can you hear me? We heard just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you are. Let's try it again. And
Can
if
you
you
guys
would repeat your address
hear me?
for me.
161 43 West 13th Avenue.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Sorry, my computer. I'm not used to using my computer. Sorry, one more sec. Sorry.
No
Okay,
problem.
can you guys hear me?
We can. We can hear you
Okay,
loud
cool.
and clear. We're
I
not
gotcha.
hearing an echo on our end.
Okay, I'm good now too. All right.
Okay, perfect.
I want to just say basically everything that the people in this community have already expressed, I'm completely in agreement with. Ryan's comments made me want to cry because my kids played soccer over there. We went over there to fly kites. I walk there every day with my dogs. What is happening to this community is just so upsetting, and it seems like we have no say. And so I agree with what Erica said, is that we need you guys to give us guidance about how we can not allow this to happen. It's already been fast tracked, so it seems like it's going to happen, but is there anything that we can do as a community to lessen the impact on our park, on our roads, on our fire station, on our grocery store, our schools, our 2-lane road? The other thing is, you guys, the amount of animals over there, the coyotes, the deer, the owls, I see them all the time. And I just feel like we're just taking away more land to build up. And at 8 stories, our fire department cannot handle that. Our roads can't handle it. Sorry, I'm just super upset right now because this just kind of came out of nowhere in the last couple of days. The people in our community came around with flyers to let people know what was going on. We had nothing from the state coming to our mailboxes saying this was happening. I mean, if we didn't have Laura and Aiden and other people in the community, we wouldn't know about this. All of a sudden, we would be like walking through Camp George West and there would be these giant earth movers going on. Sorry, I'm totally opposed to it. Many other people in the neighborhood are also, that cannot be on here today. Zach and Abby George, who have a business over here, are opposed to it also. They couldn't get on with their computer. I just ask that you give us guidance. I don't know if I email you guys and you're going to help answer my questions about how we can continue as a community to not have this happen. Thank you guys for your time. And sorry, I just got a little emotional, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lowick, and thank you also for your patience in working with us through the technology side. We appreciate your comments. I want to thank everyone who joined us in person to share your comments with the board on this matter, and also those of you who joined us online as well. And we are going to conclude this portion of public comment. We do have a second round of public comment on issues that are not on the agenda later in our meeting. We heard your concerns related to traffic roads, wildlife habitat, safety as it relates to flood and fire. You also talked about the impact on trails, green space, also concerns about density, infrastructure, parking, and heard a number of you mention your concern about the erosion of trust and the robust public engagement with the first plan in terms of the Glow Park and the suddenness and the rush nature of this proposal. So please know, I know all three of us took notes. We want to thank you again for taking the time out of your morning to be here. I know for some of you that meant time away from work or from family, and we greatly appreciate your being here. I want you to know that. Also, the Board of County Commissioners will continue this conversation during our briefing, where we will have an informational presentation to learn more about this issue, and we look forward to learning more alongside with you. That briefing is open to the public, and you can also listen in online as well for those of you who are joining us online, for those of you who are unable to come up to the 5th floor. It will probably occur within an hour, hour and a half. It just depends on the length of our next case that we'll be hearing. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to be here. We appreciate it. All right, with that, we will go next to the approval of the minutes dated July 29th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move for the approval.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kerr, if you have I'll just ask Brian, I apologize, I have your last name written down, but I don't have it right in front of me. If you would just ask our Public Affairs Director, if you have any questions, please speak to him, or if anyone has any questions, and we'll get you to the right person. Thank you so much. All right, may I have a motion, apologize, Commissioner Kerr, to approve the minutes dated July 29th, 2025.
I move for the approval of the minutes, July 29th, 2025.
Second. Ms. Blomquist, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper?
Yes, and that motion to approve the minutes dated July 29th is approved. Next, we'll go to the consent agenda. We do have 4 items on the consent agenda. Commissioners, would either of you like to pull an item off of consent?
No, thank you.
No? All right. May I have a motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.4?
Here we go. I move for the approval of consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.4.
Second. Ms. Blomquist, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper?
Yes, and that motion passes. Next is our regular agenda. We have no agenda items on our regular agenda today. We'll move next to the hearing consent portion of our meeting. We do have 1 item on the consent agenda. Ms. Blomquist, will you please read hearing consent agenda item 9.1 into the record?
9.1, Resolution CC 25-205, case number 24-127376 special use. Case name, Lost Valley Ranch special use. Owner applicant Goose Creek Land Corporation, a Colorado corporation. Location 29555 Goose Creek Road, Sedalia. Approximate area 480 acres. Purpose, a special use within the agricultural 2 zone district to expand an existing guest ranch and associated ancillary uses. Case manager Alex Folks.
Thank you so much. Let me ask if there is anyone in the audience who would like to remove this item from the consent agenda. And is there anyone online, Ms. La Liberté, who would like to remove this item?
No one online.
Okay. And then finally, commissioners, would either of you like to pull it off of consent?
No, thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda item 9.1?
Before I make that, I just want to say that as I was looking through this item, this is about as far south that Jefferson County goes. And I actually didn't know we had roads and businesses going that far south in Jefferson County.
It's a lovely part of our community, I would say.
I need to get down there to the Goose Creek area. See, there's a campground down there and stuff. So certainly plan to head down there at some point. With that, I move for the approval of hearing consent agenda item 9.1.
Second. Thank you. Ms. Blomquist, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger,
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper.
Yes, and that motion passes. Next, we'll move to the hearing regular portion of our meeting. We do have one item on our hearing regular agenda. Ms. Blomquist, would you please read hearing regular agenda item 10.1 into the record?
10.1, Resolution CC 25-206, case number 24-113723, RZ rezoning. Case name, Prospector at Evergreen Official Development Plan. Owner applicant Kim Harbor. Location 31033 American Parkway, Evergreen. Approximate area 1.13 acres. Purpose to rezone from planned development to a new planned development to allow a vertical mixed-use development with ground level office use and a maximum of 24 residential dwelling units above. Case manager Alex Folks.
Great, thank you so much. We will go to Jeffco Planning and Zoning's Alex Folks for a brief presentation on item 10.1. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Give me 1 sec. Let me pull that up. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexander Folks, and I am the case manager for case 24113-723RZ. I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. Shown here is an area map. The subject property is located west of Wakini Park and takes access from the access road that borders Evergreen Parkway, and we're just north of downtown Evergreen, but we are in the Evergreen area. Here's a map of the adjacent zonings. The surrounding area is a mix of commercial and mountain residential zonings. The northern C1 zoned parcels fall into the community subclass of C1 zoning, while the southern one, or the C1 zone parcels to the south, fall into the convenience level of C1 zoning. Then there's mountain residential 3 in the surrounding area as well. Here is a summary of the proposed changes under this ODP. As you can see, the land use would be remaining mixed use. It actually already allows for a 4-story mixed use structure. The main purpose of this rezoning is essentially to rezone to a more up-to-date plan development that will more easily allow the applicant to develop the site, as the previous ODP had several contradictions and things like that. But as for actual changes that this ODP calls for, this does eliminate the maximum gross floor area cap in the previous ODP. There is a reduction in the allowed commercial uses, whereas the previous one allowed for retail sales, financial institutions, medical and dental offices. This one just allows for general office space. It also puts a cap on the total number of units, of multifamily units, where no such cap existed in the previous ODP. And there are other lot and building standards being modified that do not greatly expand the buildable area of the site. Shown here is the applicant's proposed official development plan. It's much smaller than the previous one. It's just a 1-page document. Again, this is not an amendment to the existing ODPs, and it is intended to be a standalone document. And unless specifically called out here, all other standards of the zoning resolution shall apply to this property. So, getting into our review, shown here are the criteria that staff and the Board of County Commissioners are charged with reviewing. I'm going to go through each one of those criteria and summarize my review of them. Our first rezoning criteria is the compatibility with existing and allowable land uses in the surrounding area. The subject property, as mentioned before, is bordered by commercial and residential land uses, and overall staff finds this proposal compatible with the commercial uses in the surrounding area. Staff also finds the scale of the proposed use compatible with the nearby single-family uses, that would be the MR3 area, one of the things that the ODP does is concentrates the development in the northwest corner of this property. So it's a pretty long property. They put it to the northwest where it is furthest away from those single family units. And furthermore, we also find this increase in density to be acceptable to staff. It can also be considered a slight expansion on the existing allowable use, because this does technically remove the gross floor area cap that was present in the previous ODP, but it does also introduce a cap on the number of units. So debatable on whether or not whether it's an expansion of the existing use, but we're still working within the same building footprint that was allowable under the previous ODP. I can talk more about that if we have questions. All right, so moving to our second criteria, which is conformance with the Comprehensive Master Plan, or CMP. And staff has found that this project generally conforms with the Comprehensive Master Plan. CMP review is broken down into 4 categories, first of which is the land use recommendation. The property is within the North Evergreen Activity Center of the Evergreen Area Plan, and for which the recommended land use of this property is commercial. The Evergreen Plan, however, also goes into detail and recommends mixed use in all of the activity centers of the Evergreen Area Plan. So by allowing for office space development on the ground floor with residential units above, this mixed use proposal is meeting the land use recommendation of this property. Now, in regards to physical constraints, there are no floodplains, geologic hazards, or wetlands present on the subject property. There is a floodplain just north of this, however, that will be evaluated at the time of site development plan, should this be approved. This property is within a wildfire risk area and a significant wildlife habitat area. And for these reasons, staff will be requiring compliance with wildfire hazard mitigation regulations, such as defensible space requirements at the time of site development plan, and as well as building permits. And referrals are also going to be sent to Colorado Parks and Wildlife to determine if there is any wildlife habitat to be affected, and appropriate mitigation steps can be instituted at that point in time. Moving to our third sub-criteria is community resources, and staff has found this will not have any major impacts to air, light, odor, or noise, and no trails or open space will be impacted by this proposal. Additionally, there are no historic resources identified in the project area. And our last sub-criteria is infrastructure, water, and services, and we found the existing infrastructure and services are available and adequate to support the proposed rezoning. The subject property receives fire protection from Evergreen Fire Protection District and water and sewer services from West Jefferson County Metro District. I think they've been incorporated into Evergreen Metro District or Evergreen Metropolitan District, but they do have service. Will serve letters have been submitted from all these agencies, and additionally, the subject property received law enforcement services from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. And lastly, the applicant's trip generation analysis concludes that the existing traffic network can support the development, and T&E has no concerns. Now, moving back to our rezoning criteria. Our third one is the ability to mitigate negative impacts upon the surrounding area. Staff did identify potential negative impacts related to the proposal, or related to the proposed development that we had asked to be mitigated, or that would require mitigation. Staff's primary concerns with the visual impact such a project may have on the nearby single-family residences and the area as a whole, and the traffic impacts related to the proposal. Regarding the visual impacts it might have, staff found that requiring the structure to be in the northwest corner of the property aids with this. There's not going to be any shadows going on to any of the nearby single-family homes or that such, and it also still gives a corridor to view the mountains as well. Additionally, the applicant decided that they would default back to the zoning resolution for most of their architecture standards, the one exception being their ODP requires a pitched roof, and staff finds this acceptable. By following the architecture requirements in the zoning resolution and the ODP, staff concerns over the visual impact will be mitigated. We have very specific standards that go with mountain development that are reviewed at the time of STP, and again, we find those sufficient for this development. As for concerns over traffic, both T&E and CDOT reviewed this case and ultimately have no concerns, as the existing traffic network is able to support the amount of trips generated with this proposal. CDOT initially signed off with no comments, and then T&E had some other concerns over the number of trips that would be generated, but it was just with the math, how to figure out what was generated and what wasn't. They have no concerns over the number. So staff finds that the proposed ODP has adequately mitigated impacts, and I'll speak more about services on my next few slides. So, speaking of which, the availability of infrastructure and services is our fourth criteria. And as mentioned before, we found that they are available and adequate to support the proposed uses. As discussed previously, the applicant has provided proof of water, sewer, and fire and emergency service sufficient to serve the proposed development. And I mentioned traffic a few times. Here is their actual traffic analysis. Their trip generation analysis was reviewed by T&E and CDOT. As I mentioned, both signed off with no concerns. And yeah. Shown on screen now is the accepted traffic analysis by T&E, which shows a total average daily trips of 211 on an average weekday. They mentioned 2 scenarios here, but go off the first one because only office space and multifamily is allowed. Retail is not allowed, and that causes much more trips. So that wasn't allowed in the ODP. But again, T&E has no concerns. One thing to note is that their traffic memo concludes that they are in compliance with their existing CDOT access permit. And while CDOT signed off as no comment on this application or on this rezoning, they still reserve the right to require a new access permit during a subsequent STP. That was something that was brought up during the Planning Commission. So CDOT will look at this again and start getting into specific improvements that are required and can even require a new access permit if needed. Now, moving on to our last criteria, the effect upon the health, safety, and welfare of residents and landowners in the surrounding area. Staff finds that if the standards set forth in the zoning resolution and the proposed ODP are followed, there will not be any significant impacts to the health, safety, and welfare of residents and landowners in the surrounding area. For the zoning resolution, notification was required. A sign was placed in a location deemed sufficient by staff prior to the Planning Commission hearing, and staff mailed postcards to all neighboring properties within a quarter mile of the subject property, as well as notified all HOAs and other Jefferson County registered associations within 2 miles, as is required in the zoning resolution. We did get several public comments. I believe some came through last night that were forwarded along to the commissioners, and all public comments have been forwarded along, can be either found in the case packet and the case folder. So, to summarize staff's analysis, the proposed rezoning from planned development to a new planned development zone district that allows for commercial, and residential land uses in a mixed-use structure is compatible with the existing and allowable commercial and residential land uses in the surrounding area. The proposal is in general conformance with the comprehensive master plan, as it falls within the North Evergreen Activity Center of the Evergreen Area Plan, for which the commercial uses are recommended, and mixed use is recommended in all activity centers of the Evergreen Area Plan. And the proposal generally conforms with all other applicable goals and policies of the CMP. The ability to mitigate the negative impacts of the proposed land uses on the surrounding area have been considered and addressed by the written requirements in the ODP, as well as those that would apply in the ZR. Potential visual impacts are mitigated by requiring the mixed-use structure to be located in the northwest corner of the site and by requiring the design of the structure to comply with the architectural standards of the ZR. The subject property is served by the Evergreen Fire Protection District, the West Jefferson County Metropolitan District, which provides water and sanitation services, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and Evergreen Fire Protection District for emergency services. The existing infrastructure and services are adequate and available to serve the proposed uses. And lastly, the proposed rezoning will not result in significant impacts to the health, safety, and welfare of residents and landowners in the surrounding area. It's for these reasons that P&Z recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve case number 24113-723RZ. I mentioned this a couple times, but should this case be approved, we do have some follow-up processes, such as the site development plan, as that's automatically required when there is a permit for a new building greater than 200 square feet. And then should this STP be approved, the applicant can then submit for any applicable permits related to the expansion and subsequent STP. On July 9th, the Planning Commission unanimously voted to recommend approval of this case. And now the Board of County Commissioners is charged with reviewing the request and staff report, reviewing the recommendation of the Planning Commission, receiving testimony and evidence on the application, and approving or denying this request. So thank you. That's the end of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate it. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this time? No? Commissioner Kerr, you're all set? Okay. Excellent. Next, we'll hear from the applicant, Kim Harburg. Are you with us today?
Representative for Kim.
Oh, wonderful. Please come forward. We'll ask you to share with us your name, spell your last name, and share your address, and then the clerk will swear you in.
Great. My name is Sarah Sanderson, Sanderson. Our address at Sanderson Architects, 2232 Pearl Street, Suite 100, Boulder, Colorado, 80302. And we are the owner's representatives for this project in Evergreen. I am here and thanking you for your time, commissioners, here to answer any questions.
If you could raise your right hand, I can swear you in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you.
And Ms. Anderson, are there any additional comments that you'd like to make? Any information you think is important to share with the county commissioners about this particular development?
I appreciate you asking. I think Alex did a really thorough job going over where we're at thus far. That being said, I want to make it clear to the commissioners that this is an ongoing project. My father, George Sanderson, is the lead architect on this project and worked with the previous owners. And now, since we have a new owner, we've worked closely with them to try and make the best project for this difficult space. So it's many, many years in the making of research and development all the way through to now this process. And really this approval would allow for, just like Alex said, a few minor tweaks to the ODP originally developed.
Excellent. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this time of Ms. Anderson? It's pretty straightforward case. We really appreciate your being here, though. Let me ask, I don't think we do, but I will ask, is there anyone in the hearing room who would like to provide public testimony on this case? And I'll ask Ms. La Liberté, is there anyone joining us online who'd like
No
to
one
testify?
online.
No one online. Okay. So we will then close our public testimony on this particular case. And again, thank you so much for being here, Ms. Sanderson. Commissioners, if there are no questions or comments, I'd like to go ahead and ask for a motion for hearing regular agenda item 10.1.
And I have been to this part of your district before, unlike the previous one, way down, right off Evergreen Parkway here. So with that, I move for the approval of hearing regular agenda item 10.1.
Second.
Ms. Blomquist, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger? Aye. Commissioner Dahlkemper?
Yes, and that motion passes. Thank you both for your comments today. We appreciate it. Next on our agenda is a second round of public comment, and I'll ask again if I don't see anyone in the hearing room other than our team. I don't believe there's anyone in the hearing room who'd like to provide public comment at this time. How about online, Ms. La Liberté? Is there anyone who'd like to provide a comment on an issue not on today's agenda?
No one online.
All right, thank you. And thanks again for all your help this morning. We appreciate it. Next, we have reports, and I want to do just a quick time check. Our briefing is scheduled to begin at 10:30, and so we're fairly close to being on time. I know we have a number of community members interested in one of the informational presentations too during our briefing. So we will go to commissioner reports next, and then we'll see if we can't get ourselves sort of close to on time. Commissioner Zenzinger.
Great, thank you. Very short report from me. I was on vacation for the majority of last week, so I just want to express my appreciation to Sheriff Marinelli for the annual jail tour that her department provided. For me, it was my first time. So it was very eye-opening and informative, and I'm appreciative of that opportunity to get a close-up look at the way that the jail is organized and some of the opportunities and challenges that they face. I'm also very appreciative of the OSAC trail tour of the Huntsman segment of the Peaks to Plains Trail that we participated in. All three board members were there, so I won't go into much detail other than to say that it was also very informative and interesting. We learned quite a bit about some of the challenges about developing that area and some of the very interesting techniques that are being adopted so that that entire corridor is accessible, unique, and will appeal to many different facets of our community that would like to recreate along that area. And then lastly, I was unable to attend the Jefferson Center for Mental Health board meeting last night because I was out of town, but my substitute did attend, and so hopefully we can read the minutes and get the report from her as to what took place. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Zenzinger. Commissioner Kerr.
Great, thank you. Shout out to Sheriff Marinelli for taking us on the jail tour, as was mentioned, and then our open space board that came with us on our field trip on the Clear Creek Trail. I've gotten so used to saying Peaks to Plain that it's going to be a change for me to say Clear Creek Trail, but it does make sense since it is along Clear Creek for, I think, 99% of it. Quite an engineering marvel, and also want to point out that some of the segments that have been open, including the Gateway segment, are actually did win engineering awards, and it's just incredible. If you have not seen it and any of the open segments yet, and I believe it's the Huntsman segment that will be opening soon. Really, eventually going to be an incredible way to get from the peaks to the plains, or the plains to the peak, along Clear Creek. So please check that out. And also want to mention tonight is National Night Out. I know cities like Arvada, Lakewood, Littleton, Westminster, Wheat Ridge are all participating. I believe there are 19 neighborhoods in unincorporated Jeffco that have National Night Out celebrations and picnics and get-togethers happening. So check that out tonight for National Night Out. And just one thing I wanted to mention as we hear things in the news and what's happening at other levels of government, I just want to mention that here in Jefferson County, we absolutely strive to be open, transparent, truthful, make sure the facts are out there, and our decisions are science-based. I know other local and state and federal governments perhaps are not always the same way. Examples of City of Aurora not doing public comment, Montrose County, invite folks to go and listen to some of the public comment periods in Montrose County. Douglas County has been interesting of late. And then at our federal government, basically saying that they're going to use whatever data that sounds good to them, not the actual data. Here in Jefferson County, we're the opposite. We're going to talk about the truth. We're going to talk about the real data and use facts in our science-based decisions. So with that, thank you.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Kerr. I would also like to echo my gratitude to Sheriff Marinelli and her team for the tour of the jail. I think that is I've been on that tour a number of years and always learned something new, and really want to thank everyone who was involved in that effort. I have a couple of quick comments about Jeffco Open Space. It truly is an engineering marvel to see the now newly renamed Clear Creek Trail. And one of the things that is especially exciting is that we hope to open about 1.5 miles of the trail from where the trail ends just past Tunnel 1. And the CCR trailhead by November. That's going to be dependent on weather, according to our Jeffco Open Space team. And then the remaining 1.5 miles in the Huntsman Rancho trailhead is expected to open late fall of 2026. So a huge thanks again to our Jeffco Open Space team and the many partners from governmental entities, construction teams, architects, and so many others who have been a part of this legacy project. Also, a heartfelt thanks to our Jeffco Open Space Rangers. We're grateful for all that they do. Just this past week was World Ranger Day, and we appreciate you very much. Also want to give another shout out to the Jeffco Open Space Trail Stewardship Crew, who cleared 1.5 miles of wildfire mitigation buffer in areas close to homes. And this is just a great example of our partnership with our municipalities, in this case, Bear Creek Lake Park in the city of Lakewood. So thanks again for all you do for our community. With that, I'll turn it over to our county manager, Joe Kirby.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have no report this morning. Thank you.
Great, thank you. County Attorney Kim Sorrells?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who joined us. We will officially adjourn this meeting and we will continue upstairs. Let's call it 10:45 to begin our briefing. Thank you.